Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be building an Imperial fleet for Star Wars Armada. We're using Ryan Kingston's fleet builder today, and I am going to put Sloane on an Onager. And I don't think I've ever done that before, but I think it's a fun way to go, and that's what we're going to be building today. So if you guys are new here, I do giveaways all the time. We're actually going to be announcing a winner at the end of this video for the $25 Amazon gift card, so stay tuned for that. And I have new giveaways running all the time. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos for any of those giveaways. So I'm going to be doing a Sloane build, and one of the things that's important when you're doing a Sloane build is squadrons. So I think instead of adding ships first, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the squadrons because that's really the important thing. And Sloane works really well with TIE fighters and TIE interceptors. I'll put Sloane out first because we are going to have her. I'm going to put her out. I'm going to put her on an Onager test bed just so we can kind of look at her and kind of go over this first because. So the big things about Sloane is you don't want to use rogues because she doesn't help rogue squadrons. Rogue squadron, right? She doesn't help rogue squadrons. So she wants to get those particular ships that you're going to be activating manually, which is the vast majority. But she also allows them to spend a die with an accuracy to choose and spend one of the defender's defense tokens, which is really a nice way to eat through defense tokens. Also, you can reroll crit when attacking ships. So this is especially good for red and blue dice. Not so good for black dice since your crits happen to have your hits on there as well. And black dice don't have accuracies, but particularly good for the blue dice since there's multiple accuracies on a blue die, and of course, the red dice you have a potential chance to to re-roll and fish for those doubles. So with that in mind, we are going to add some TIE fighters. We're going to go for a pretty high number of squadrons here. We're going to max squadrons. I'm going to put 5 TIE fighters, and I'm going to add Howl Runner because we also really want to quickly deal with enemy squadron presence so that we can begin doing work to the enemy fleet, and that's really what we're going for here. So Howl Runner is definitely going to help us. We're going to add just some interceptors as well, further making Howl Runner a little bit better. I'm going to put 2 interceptors in here. I want this to be a build that, well, hopefully, if you only have the 1 squadron pack, you can potentially still use. And so, I know that the Imperial Squadron 1 pack was a little bit tough, but I am going to hurt you a little bit on the Imperial 2 Squadron pack because I'm going to put 4 TIE Phantoms. And TIE Phantoms aren't a squadron I run very often. They're not the perfect complement to this build, but they are a fun complement to this build. They are 4 hull, so they're going to be a little bit more on the tankier side. They're going to be speed 4. They have cloak, which is a really nice way to get away from engagements and and also to heal up on the station if you need to. But what's really cool about these particular ships is that they have the 2 red for to go against ships, which can really, they have the potential to do 4 damage against a ship, and you kind of enhance that potential a little bit with Sloane because if those red dice do turn up to be a critical, you get the reroll on there. You have a little bit better chance to fish for some damage with these guys. You're probably not going to get 4 damage, but there's always that chance, and that's a really fun thing. I do love red dice, and I love the possibility of getting all those extra damage. So that's going to be really fun. Plus, they're 4 blue dice against ships. Now they are against squadrons. Now they don't have swarm, so Howl Runner's not going to be giving them a bonus die, but that's okay because we're going to work on that. Now this puts us up to 134 points of squadrons, which is excellent. That maxes us out. And that's 12 squadrons. That's not bad. We got 6 regular TIEs, 4 Phantoms puts us up to 10, and then 2 Interceptors. The Interceptors are a little better. Of course, you can change this around a little bit if you want. You could go with more Interceptors than Phantoms if you wanted to. Of course, this is going to depend on what you have available to you as well. Maybe you only have one package of Imperial Squadrons 2, which would leave you with only 2 TIE Phantoms, and well, maybe you just proxy something else to be Phantoms for this particular build. But a lot of people should have access to TIE Fighters and Howlrunner, since you can get all that in the core set. I wanted to make this a little bit more approachable of a list, but then again, we also have to add ships, which then kind of throws that whole plan out the window. So for our Onager testbed, what we're going to be putting on this one, not a whole lot, but we're going to do a couple of fun things. Now, I went with the testbed because it's cheaper, and we can have a better chance of actually getting black dice, which, hey, there's a risk with those black dice, right? Because any evades now are really, really good. Evades are, and especially against an Onager. So it's important to realize that black dice are going to totally be less than effective against ships that have evade, since they can get rid of lots of black dice. Now, but that's all the reason in the world to just target the ships that don't have evade, and that's what we probably want to do here. I'm going to start off with Gunnery Chief Varnillion. I absolutely love this character on an Onager. And then I'm also going to run the Ordnance Experts. While Ordnance Experts aren't as good as they once were, they're still pretty good. And with your Ignition attack, and you get those 3 black dice, I doubt you're going to roll all 3 of them blank. So Ordnance Experts still going to be useful in this case. We are going to keep Sloane here. She's going to stay pretty far in the back. And, I think one of the risks with an Onager is having it so far back that, maybe squadrons can get to it and they can tear it apart. But I don't think that will be a problem with this build with as much anti-squadron capability as our TIE Fighters and Interceptors and all of that stuff has. I think we should probably have a good chance of completely, deleting enemy squadrons very quickly. And I think that's a good thing. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. For titles, I'm going to put the Cataclysm on here because what I want to do is I want to be able to fire early because I'm going to be using the super weapon that's going to do the splash damage, and that in this case that's going to be the Orbital Bombardment Particle Cannons. This is the longer ranged ignition keyword, so we can actually place that token all the way out at long range. This gives us our longest possible shot. This also says that ships at distance 1 of the defender suffer 2 damage, and squadrons at distance 1 of the defender also suffer a damage. Now, this is an interesting way to kind of approach this build, because here is a case where maybe you don't run this type of thing with a squadron heavy build because you can potentially hit your own squadrons. And that's absolutely the case here. And that's a choice you're going to have to make depending on the situation. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's not worth it. But this is a really fun crit, though, because it's going to trigger off of the red critical. That's one of the things that Gunnery Chief Varnillion is helping us to do. If maybe we get that red critical and we don't want to trigger it, maybe we can store it for later when it's more appropriate. But this is going to work with Cataclysm also very early because we're going to try and get a Concentrate Fire token on the first turn. We want to place it right away and be able to make that shot on the first turn. Now, in order to do that, we're going to need to get a Concentrate Fire token early, and Hondo Anaka is going to help us with that. So we're going to have Hondo on here, so this way we can give ourselves at the start of the first ship phase, if we are able to be first player, or even if we're second player, if our first shot hopefully will be close enough to be able to get our opponent's fleet all close together, and then do some crazy damage. And if not, then at least maybe we can still go for that enemy flagship that maybe doesn't have evade tokens. That's kind of what we're hoping to do here. And so that's what's all going to go on the flagship. Now, in addition to the flagship, we are going to need some ships to activate all of these squadrons. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of Gazantis on here. I'm going to run 2 different Gazanti cruisers. They're going to be completely naked. They're not going to run any upgrades at all. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can certainly drop something. You can maybe drop Cataclysm off, and maybe even drop Hondo if you don't necessarily need to, get that first round shot. Then that can free up a couple of points for other things. But for this build, I'm running 2 Gazantis totally naked. They're just out there to be activations and to push squadrons. You will probably lose some TIE fighters. That always is the case, and then by then you can afford to lose some Gazantis because you won't need quite that many more squadron commands. But our big squadron pusher here is going to be a Quasar Fire 1. The Quasar Fire 1 isn't always my first choice for a Quasar, but it is a little bit cheaper, and it's going to allow us to get 4 ships in a squadron heavy build, and I think that's a good thing about this one. Now, a lot of times when I used to run squadron heavy, which is few and far between, I used to consider making the Quasar a flagship or maybe running a Victory with it, and I just wanted something that had a little bit more reach, a little bit more get out and touch you. That's kind of why I decided to go with the Onager instead of a Victory or an ISD. The Quasar is just such a fantastic carrier. It really is. So here's what we're going to put on this thing. First off, I really like the Stronghold title. We're going to make this one the Stronghold title because that is going to, since we do have so many squadrons with Swarm, it's going to help us protect those. If we do get into those early battles, or if some ships are trying to do anti-squadron attacks, as long as that is really gonna help, because if you don't have at least 2 dice in your flak attack, you're not getting any shots through to all the swarm squadrons near me, which means the Phantoms could be vulnerable, but they can just move away with their cloaking. So Stronghold is a really effective title if you're keeping squadrons close to the Quasar. And of course that will be the case some of the time, but maybe not all of the time. For the rest of the time, everything else is going to help that. So we're going to extend their range with boosted comms. That is going to allow our squadron command to be able to go out to long range. Because hey, the Quasar can die real quick. It's only got 6 hull, not that many shields. It's got a brace and a redirect, but only those 2. So this ship can go ploppity plop pretty quick. So we want to keep it safe. The Gazantis will hopefully help obstruct the Quasar a little bit and kind of cover it a little bit. And also boosted comms helps keep it far away from extra dice. Additionally, we're going to boost its value. We'll increase that squadron value by 1. Now we're rocking a squadron 5 Quasar that can hit out to long range. Now we're able to activate a lot more of our fleet. And this with a token can hit 6, plus each of these with a token can hit 3 and 3. That's 12 activations. That's enough to activate 100% of our squadrons if we have tokens on all of these. Since we probably won't need to activate them first turn, that's going to work out perfectly. So additionally, on our Quasar, we're going to put flight controllers. I talked about wanting to delete enemy squadrons early. That's definitely something we're going to do here. Flight controllers is just such a great carrier platform weapons team. It's just really good on this one, especially since we're going to be activating 5, if not 6 squadrons out of this. So that's going to give us 6 extra blue dice. You combine that with Howl Runner, for example, and then Swarm on top of that. They're going to be rolling so many dice against enemy squadrons. It's actually going to be a little bit obscene. A TIE Interceptor, for example, will roll 4 naturally, plus 1 from Howl Runner if it's close enough, plus 1 from Flight Controllers if it's activated by the Stronghold. 6 blue dice, and you also get a reroll because of Swarm. So really nice anti-squadron presence. Even if we're going up against scatter aces, we're still going to be able to generate accuracies with all of those dice plus rerolls. It's just going to really help you delete enemy squadrons, and I enjoy that. Last thing I want to do to help keep this thing alive or farther away is I'm going to put Flight Commander on this one to let us do our squadron command after we move. This is going to allow me to stay really far away from enemy fleets, even beyond long range, and then relying on my slower movement to eventually push me into range to hit all of the squadrons. Having the ability to do that before or after I move is really good. It's going to help me make sure I have maximum flexibility on where I move, which squadrons I hit, and make sure that I'm not wasting squadron commands because, I was just out of range of actually being able to hit Howl Runner and all of my TIE Fighters and TIE Interceptors. So That's just a really good way. Now, of course, you're going to be vulnerable to raid tokens in a build like this, but hopefully most of the stuff that's going to be giving you raid tokens is going to be things that are going to be things that are wanting to fly real close to you via squadron type delivery platforms. So hopefully you'll be able to melt those. Now, the Clone Wars does bring us somebody like Dooku who can just give them to you, and if that's the case, you'll just want to make sure that you're saving tokens to counter those raid tokens as they come about. You may even want to then rethink how you use Hondo and then just spend the squadron token and be able to keep the dial. So I think you do have, at least Hondo gives you a little bit of protection against raid tokens if you're going up against something like Count Dooku, but outside of that, this is the build. The Quasar is going to be the major squadron pusher. The Gazantis can push the rest. And we are at 4 activations, so we can kind of save, the Quasar to last on a lot of the, big heavy hitter turns. Or the Onager can probably go first turn. Obviously that one's going to want to go early on the first turn if it has a shot, and you'll have a lot of flexibility based on the way fleets are moving. Now this does put us up to 399 points, so we may not be first player here. Now if this is an easy thing to fix, because the first thing I could see dropping without too much change to the overall strategy here is Stronghold. I want the squadrons to be far enough away anyhow, so I could easily just drop the title as a whole, and that gives me a 6-point bid as opposed to a 1-point bid. A lot more likely to possibly get first player there, although it's certainly not guaranteed. If you really want that first player, you'll have to drop 2 things, and in that case maybe I would drop Cataclysm and Stronghold, and then I have a much better chance of actually getting. That gives me 11-point bid, pretty good chance of actually being first player in that case. But since I play a little bit more casually, I think I'll probably be okay with the second player here. So if that's the case, let's talk about what objectives we want to run in this particular build. Now, I absolutely have to go with Most Wanted for the Reds. Here, I've got some naked Gazantis. I can make that the most wanted ship that we run for the opponent. So that means they'll get double points if they're able to take out one of my Gazantis. But also lets me add a die of any color that's already in my attack pool. So that means, if I use the Onager on their flagship, I get to add an extra die, which is really, really cool. So I really like that. It's still surprising to me that ignition attacks still let you add dice too. That's that's really something. I wonder if that will change someday. But for now, it's really only salvo attacks that you can't add dice to. So for our yellow objective, I'm going to go with fire lanes for the purpose of, now I don't have the most amount of dice in Arc to be able to really win fire lanes very often or early, but that does tell me where the battle's going to take place. It also allows me to generally expect that somebody might bunch up their fleet trying to head towards those objectives, and if they do bunch up the fleet, I can really punish them with the orbital bombardment particle cannons. I can say these words if I try really, really hard. The orbital bombardment particle cannon is going to punish them for trying to get too close and bunch up their fleet to try to win that objective, and then I won't mind losing points if I'm actually able to table them. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. If not, then I just fly the Quasar kind of close enough and try to get double arcs on some of those objective tokens, and then hopefully punish them for trying to come in close. Also, since I'll be able to also direct the big cloud of TIE fighters directly at the enemy fleet. And for our navigation, I'm going to go with superior position. Since I'm going to have so many fighters, I'll be able to rack up a lot of points by taking shots on the rear of enemy ships and gaining lots of extra victory tokens. That way, the rerolls are going to allow me to get a lot more actual successful dice out of this, and it looks like it'll be a real fun list to try. Maybe not so much fun for my opponents, but let me know. I want to hear what you guys think of running Sloane on an Onager as opposed to maybe an ISD or something that can stay a little closer to the fleet I think the reach out and touch someone capability of the Onager is what is going to allow this ship to really thrive, especially once those shields are down. That's one of the things that a Sloane fleet is going to do is, you're going to be spending those defense tokens very, very quickly, and before you know it, even those ships that have the evades, even if your opponent's running MC30s and stuff, those things are going to go away after Sloane just has, and that's the idea, is those type of ships, you want the squadrons to take the evades away first, then you fire that super weapon, then you make them pay. And I think this could work. It'll be a really fun experiment to see if it does work very well as intended, but that is the plan. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the description below. I'll put a link to Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder so you guys can check it out as well. Also, we do have a winner to announce. So today's winner is going to be WarGrizz0. Congratulations, WarGrizz. You won that $25 Amazon gift card. Just go ahead and shoot me an email at mailcrabbok@gmail.com, and I'll get your details and we'll get you squared away. So congratulations to everybody else. I've got giveaways running all the time. We've got some of the still of the 12 Days of Life Day giveaways running on Patreon right now. Plus, we'll sometimes give away stuff in Discord, so be sure to join the Discord channel. I was giving away some World of Tanks codes, and in March, when they do the big preview, where there's going to be a lot of news in March, we'll probably be doing some live streaming and some giveaways as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Plus, more Amazon gift card giveaways all the time. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on any of my videos to win one of those. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons as well. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I couldn't do this without your continued support. If you're interested in any of the ways to support the channel or to follow me on social media, check the links in the description below. I want to thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.